Lifestyle station. High Impact 102.1 FM.
Well, yesterday we opened the show talking about how a coalition is coming into play in the Nigerian political system. And still yesterday, while we were talking about this same coalition, we spoke about the possibility where those ones who are feeling guilted or jilted, as the word may be, or those ones who feel like, hey, how would you just come here and take over? We will come out to say, hey, we are not part of this. And just yesterday, we got to see the former presidential candidate of the ADC, a person of Ibe Kachiku, talking about them not being a part of a coalition. Also yesterday, we also got to realize that there was a statement out for Ibe Kachiku, him being suspended for the party over 2 years ago. And then you ask yourself, as the politics begin for 2027 elections, are we going to see more tangles? Are we going to see more shifts, more shakes here and there? Or will so many people stay in their home base and play mole for the other coalition or for the ruling party? Because right now, everyone's favorite word in the political space is mole. Mole, mole, mole. Let's see how that one pounds out. This is how we welcome you to the newspaper review right here on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. I am Uche Okori.
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the newspaper review where we take a look at the major editorials in the land for this morning. I mean, it's no brainer. This is Nigeria. Sometimes it's very easy.
Nigeria.
It's very easy to predict what is going to happen in the next minute. There's no suspense.
There really isn't.
Especially when it comes to our politics.
Yes, I think those who are caught off guard are people who really want to be caught off guard. There's nothing new.
Right from when you opened the show with it yesterday, I was like, okay, we wait to see what happens in the next 24, 48.
It didn't even last that long.
And even times before, the general elections itself, we'll still be seeing a couple of, uproar, a couple of, people bearing their mind like, how do you do this to us? Fine. The ADC are saying, look here, we understand very well that you guys were not able to do this with SDP, but you have come to do it with us right now, and which is, perfect. Someone made a joke, said the outgoing ADC chairman said what he's doing now is reaping all of the dividends of the sacrifices made for the ADC in the time past. The fact that it could easily allow the coalition to come around and take over their own party that they've been building for the last couple of years. But of course, it is very, very okay. Let's see what happens in the coming days. I'm of the opinion that we'll still be seeing some set of persons from the ADC still decamp before the election.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So many things will happen before the election. But before all of that, we have so many stories on the front page of the papers for you this morning.
My name, Ayodeji Ajiboye. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show. And both of us will be here to help you guide through all the papers that we have this morning. Don't go nowhere. It is your urban lifestyle station, our Impact Radio 102.1 FM, and it is the newspaper review. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the newspaper review is the show you are on to. And of course, we use this opportunity to talk about all of the stories that made front page in some of the dailies that we have with us today. Of course, you can be a part of the conversation any time of the day. Only way for you to do that is if you call us on 0907-224-5018, or if you reach us via all the social media handles. We're talking about Twitter, X, as it's known now, Instagram and TikTok at iImpact1021 FM. Also on Facebook at iImpact Radio 102.1 FM. We're live on YouTube at iImpact102.1 FM. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the notification button so you will know whenever we are live right here. We start with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, and the Daily Trust leads exactly with the biggest story for this week, basically. And it says, coalition members move to exit old parties. Coalition members move to exit old parties. Talking about this, we saw something yesterday on the papers, on news stations and all of that, where there were rumors of the Labour Party giving 48 hours to Peter Obi for him to exit the party. And also we saw from close people to Peter Obi, who are also members of the Labour Party, coming out to talk about nothing like an ultimatum given to anyone to leave the party. So as it stands now, their principal, Peter Obi, is still obviously in the Labour Party, as he has not come out to say, I'm not in the Labour Party. He was only in a meeting of a coalition of the ADC.
Okay.
Hold on.
Make that make sense.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm coming. I'm getting somewhere.
All right.
Also, we also saw him in time past when there was a first meeting of a coalition with the Northern Elders that was made. And so, is it possible that he is still there until there's a decider of who's going to be the ruling or the main man,
the flag bearer
of the ADC, or like he said, like he has always said, that he's in mood for anything that will make Nigeria better. Does that mean if someone else is the flag bearer of the ADC, is he willing to be part of that same movement?
Support the structure.
Support the structure and not represent another party as its flag-bearing candidate. So many questions and so many answers.
I mean,
needed.
begging for answers here, and I feel like I'm boiling. What I'm boiling is the fact that you already held the flag for a party in the last general elections, and I mean, this is a typical Nigerian person. You don't want to, because as it is right now, if he's going to be taking any other options, will mean that he's going to be running like a second fiddle to whoever it is that will be getting the flag for the APC. I mean, the ADC, which is going to more or less like he's going to lose a lot of his supporters if he ever tries to do that. And if you take a look at the ADC, you have a lot of heads who will be looking to also get the the number one flag in that party right now. Talk about the likes of Malam Nasir El-Rufai. Maybe you talk about the likes of Rotimi Amechi, and even the former vice president himself, Atiku Abubakar. So, like I said yesterday, we'll wait till that very time when they will be looking to decide who exactly is going to be flying the flag of that particular party. But I'm still of the opinion that before the 2027 elections, a lot of things are still going to happen. A lot of permutations are still going to occur, and we definitely all hands in glove are wait to see how it's going to mean well and mean better for the future of the average Nigerian.
Because at the end of the day, it's the average Nigerian's future that matters when it comes to governance. Okay, moving on to other stories which we have right here on the front page of the papers this morning. We see this one just underneath the huge image that has Kashim Shettima and other dignitaries right here. We see Remi Tinubu returns to Plateau, donates 1 billion naira to victims of attacks. This story you find on page 6. We saw that one yesterday. Good move. But hopefully it will be more of a secured state rather than donations being given to them,
relief
or to
materials.
victims, or relief materials and all of that. We want Nigeria to be secured, free from insecurity and any of all those terrorist shenanigans.
It's possible.
Of course it's possible. Of course it's possible. It only takes the political will to get it done. That's just what we are waiting for. Underneath it, with $2 billion tier 1 capital, Zenith Bank rated number 1 in Nigeria. Moving on. 2,000 hectares. My children have right to own land. We find this one is by Wiki. It is on page 8. And this story broke a couple of days ago where accusations were made that the FCT minister actually, gave land to his child or his children, as the case may be, allegedly, that is.
I think he has 3 of them.
Well, and, statements like this, no one is saying that your children can own land. Of course they can own land. They have all the rights in the world to own land.
Yeah.
But were they
2,000?
bought with their own money? Or was it assigned to them from
Are they paying ground rent?
Okay, and all of that too, So all of these things begs the question: how was it done? Was it done legally? Was it done one other way? Is it true?
Or was it just allotted to them?
It's also important to say: is it true that these were lands that belonged to the University of Abuja? Because we heard rumors that the University of Abuja's land was revoked. This is a university that has about 11,000 hectares of land, and 7,000 was revoked from them, making it only a 4,000 hectare. And the rumor came out that it was from this 7,000 that 2,000 was actually allocated to Nyesom Wike's son, allegedly. And also, we also saw allegedly on the news yesterday that the police got to arrest somebody from the FCTA who they claimed was the person who broke the news about Wike's land allocation to his son. So all of these things put together, if true,
There's a pointer.
it's a no-brainer. Just like he's a citizen of Nigeria, I am a citizen of Nigeria too.
Sure.
Will I get allotted to plot 2,000 hectares of land just like that? Or it's not possible because obviously my dad is not in government.
You are not into politics.
Okay, so
Right.
is what we're asking. Is it legit? Is it true? Is there any truth to it? If there is truth to it, is it supposed to happen that way? I don't think so. But maybe the FCT minister knows what we do not know. And also maybe this child didn't get any land. And even if he did, probably his dad bought it for him legitimately, as the dad has the right to do so for his son. So, so let's hold our horses and hope truth comes out at the end of the day. Other stories which you find right here on the paper. It says senator's aide resigns over 20,000 naira salary. What's that?
I mean, the aide to a senator is not getting the minimum wage. I'm not laughing. Why are you laughing?
Moving on. Other stories right here on the front page. It says here, INEC receives 12 additional applications for party registration. You find that story on page 13, talking about registrations of parties. It has been going back and forth where INEC is talking about all parties needs to do what they need to do before the time gets, elapsed for registration of all these parties. And we know so many things is happening in the politics. We even heard rumors that the so-called coalition is actually trying to look for an alternative party, just in case.
In the words of Nasir, Malam Nasir.
Just in case, if the ADC decides to pull up a stunt that doesn't make any sense.
Of course, they are going to pull up a stunt.
Don't say of course. Don't say of course.
Okay.
Because these people might just be in on it. Do not forget, there are always factions. But how strong is the faction that is speaking
And
up?
don't forget that the party that a lot of youth actually wanted to go all out for in the last general election, the major cause of their doom, or what spelled their doom in the last election, was the same faction that we're talking about right now. If they had a stronghold, I mean, till now, they are still battling with this faction, this thing, till this very minute in the Labour Party. That is why you see someone like Governor Alex Oti not following suit with who you would think will be his principal. That's talking about Peter Obi, possibly make a move.
Even his principal hasn't moved yet, so probably, that's what he's waiting for. Because in all truth, his principal hasn't moved yet.
Okay.
There's no, statement of him coming out to say he is part of the ADC now.
Okay.
There is no statement coming from Alhaji Atiku Abubakar claiming he is part of the ADC now. There's a coalition, and if we check out with what Dele Momodu even said, and even someone like Lamido,
I mean, Dele Momodu said Iso has left the PDP and is now supporting the ADC.
But has his body left?
Okay, so there's body.
Of course.
There's what again?
A mind. Well, has his body left? It's definitely true. We've seen things like this, and they come out with excuses like, if the FCT minister, person of Yesom Wike, can still be in the PDP and work
for the
ADC,
party.
it means anything can happen.
Yeah.
So there's so much to see. There's so much that's going to go on.
Well, we wait to see what INEC is also going to do. I mean, in the last couple of days, there have been talks about electoral reforms, and even this is also causing an eyebrow amongst a lot of citizens because they believe that the electoral reforms and also the venue for the electoral reform is some place where it's not going to allow for large number of persons to be there, except for those who let me just say that are cream themselves, the ones who are going to be part of that particular meeting that is being set up by the Independent National Electoral Commission. People are saying even if they like, let them go and do it in a coven. Just do it under the cave. Just make sure that you come up with a good plan before the election come 2027. And yes, definitely we're looking forward to see how that is going to pan out.
Looking forward to see how it pans out. And we end the last story with some sort of sad news. This one says ex-Super Eagles goalkeeper Peter Rufai dies at 61. A really, really sad one.
Yesterday was indeed a dark day in the world of sports, in the world of football. I think we started the morning very early on with the news of Diogo Jota. Then I think it was in the early mornings as well that Peter Rufai also gave up the ghost, but we got the news very late on last night. And there's this Bayern Munich youth coach as well, who also died yesterday. So I mean, we recorded about like 5 deaths in the world of football just yesterday alone. So very, very dark day, I tell you. And I think the only thing we can do right now is to pray for the families of the deceased, and also we pray for the deceased themselves that may God rest their soul.
Well, may God rest their soul and grant their fortitude. To the family, the fortitude, to bear the loss. We're definitely going to be missing Dodo Mayana for years to come.
I mean, I feel bad when the press statement came out yesterday by the Nigerian Football Federation, and they state that they do not know it was ill.
Man, let's not go there.
Okay.
That's the much we can take for the Daily Trust this morning.
Anyway, from the Daily Trust newspaper, we'll go straight into the Guardian newspaper for this morning. First story, the big image on the front page of the Guardian newspaper is talking about 2027. And then you have this image where there is a bit of push and pull between the All Progressive Congress and the coalition. They are holding one end of the rope, and then we see where it's going to end. I just hope that this rope is not going to cut, because if this rope cuts, it's not going to be well for a lot of Nigerians. The big story is saying illusion of harmony when politicians unite in power pursuits, sans governance. Illusion of harmony when politicians unite in power pursuits, sans governance. That story is on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And just beneath that, you have Senate begins public hearing on constitutional review in Lagos. The Senate begins public hearing on constitutional review in Lagos, and that story is on news page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Just what I just mentioned about the electoral reforms, and also there's a bit of constitutional review that is also going to kick off right here in Lagos. A lot of things that needs to be talked about, especially when it comes to the constitution of the land, because sometimes you see some things happen and then you'll be like, how is this? And then someone is going to tell you it is constitutionally backed.
Well, so many things, and it is what it is, and sometimes you just have to review some of these things sometimes. And in Lagos, it will be done. There is a proposal of 18 additional local governments into the country. I think for some states has I think Imo State has, for the Ikeduru constituency, has as much as 4, which they were proposing for their state. for that particular constituency, actually. And other states have a good numbers of them too. Also, part of the things that might be discussed is public hearing for the electoral reform, which is going to go on. And today we will see some of these things, and this will go on in about the 36 states of Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. And because obviously it's a Nigerian constitution and it needs to have a public discourse every part of Nigeria. We do hope they do their due diligence to get all of these things done, because sometimes we know how these things work out sometimes, and we hope it's not the same way this time around. Due diligence made, listen to the people, listen to what the people has to say and what they really want.
Don't just do what you have at the back of your mind, because this is not just about you. This is about the citizens. This is about the masses in general. And away from that story, says enemy fault federal government export of doctors, skilled workers to St. Lucia. St. Lucia, this is, I want to call it a town in the Caribbean.
Oh, well.
Because, I mean, St. Lucia is not even up to Jamaica.
Oh, well. Yeah, it is. It is what it is.
And these people also struggle to get into the United States of America and other, do we call them the first world countries now?
Well, I don't know how to
or the developed countries.
Yeah, it kind of is. And somewhat, St. Lucia has some sort of, I think, underneath the U.S. It's not a full government of its own. It has the backings of the U.S. in full. And of course, it's a little country that needs...
but they need to get visas to go into the U.S.
Of course, of course. It's a little country that has its own, coastlines close to Mexico.
The only time I got to know about St. Lucia was during the Olympics when, was it Fraser Price? This lady that broke the world record in athletics, her name is failing in my head right now. That was for a lot of people. Okay, she's from St. Lucia, and then she got heroes welcome to our country. Okay.
It was a beautiful moment for her back then, and right now I think what the Nigerian Medical Association are talking about is the fact that we do not even have enough doctors in the country.
Yeah.
We do not have enough nurses. We have so many who are complaining bitterly in terms of welfare and everything going on. And yet, we still want to export these little numbers. We want to take out of them to push them to St. Lucia to go do some work. Well, for some of them, it makes no sense, according to the Nigerian Medical Association. And this is also an association that has given a 21-day ultimatum to the government for to review their welfare and all those things. And nothing has been talked about. And yet we're hearing stories about, shipping some of them out to go, for skilled empowerment and all of that in St. Lucia.
Bro, have you been to a general hospital of recent?
No, man.
Okay.
No, man.
Yeah.
But it's obvious everywhere that the doctors are not enough. They are really not enough. And for a country that is lacking so many, and for a country that so many of our doctors are outside Nigeria trying to, make ends meet for themselves, I think we need to start focusing on Nigeria more. We need to start putting our interest first. Not saying that St. Lucia do not deserve some sort of help or some sort of skilled
our
people.
president is now like a man of honor in that land. He also got, how do you call it now?
Like honorary recognition, the highest in the land.
Yeah, the highest in the land of St. So it's worth giving back to them as well. For who much is given, much is expected.
Well,
yeah,
like you said, for whom much is given, much is expected.
All right, away from that story right now, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. This news story is still talking about the coalition and what you should expect in the coming days. This story on Newspage 27 says, Atiku flares Tinubu over Trump snub of Nigeria. Atiku flares Tinubu over Trump snub of Nigeria. That's on page 27 of the Guardian newspaper. And just beneath that, you have APC convenes South-South Summit in Edo. APC convenes South-South Summit in Edo. That's on newspage 29 of the Guardian newspaper. And beneath that, you have 2027. I love Nigeria. Yeah, that is the quote. Not coming from me, yeah. But yeah, of course, I love Nigeria. 11 other groups seek INEC registration as parties. 11 other groups seek INEC registration as parties. And that story is on newspage 6 of the Guardian newspaper. I'm thinking maybe we can also just come up with some form of name and send a letter to the, INEC and maybe start our own party from right here. It's best we start it from the room. So I mean, when it gets blown up, then we can also have a say in the party. What do you think? So we'll just make it 13 parties.
It's possible. Probably we'll be part of the coalition or something.
We should not start afresh.
Well, who knows you, man? Who knows you, man?
Wow.
Please, you need to be part of a system that works.
Oh my.
So maybe you could have this party, be part of the coalition, and who knows what happens. Or you could go join the ruling APC.
That it's.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes,
All right, away from that story right now. This one is also on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. It says Wike knocks opposition coalition as desperate power ploy. Defense reverse peace moves. Wike knocks opposition coalition as desperate power ploy. Defense reverse peace moves. That story is on news page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Don't forget that Rivers State is still under the administrator. We're still very much taking charge of that state of the federation as we speak. And TikTok says the time. Before you know it, 6 months will be complete, and then we'll look forward to see what the presidency is going to decide moving forward as regards administration in Rivers State, whether or not they'll go back to being a state that is executive, driven, or they are still going to be under the administrator for the foreseeable future. Obviously not until 2027.
Well, let's see how that one pans out, and hopefully it's something that will go back to status quo when it comes to Rivers State and governance. And that's the much you can take for that paper, yes?
Yeah, the Guardian newspaper this morning.
From the Guardian to the Vanguard newspaper this morning, no much story on the Vanguard. Just a couple of, projects that have been commissioned in Abuja. This has been going on for over 3 weeks now.
The president got back on Monday. Is that? Was it Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
I think he got back earlier this week, and since the day he got back, he's been commissioning projects back to back
For 3 weeks now.
in Abuja. Yes.
Yeah, for 3 weeks now, because it has been on major papers every week, different every single day.
I mean, in
for
that
the past 3
regards,
weeks.
big ups to some Wicked though, because it's not easy to be from the opposition and then you're also making a statement in the ruling party. I mean, a lot of other ministers and maybe people who are holding offices in the part of the APC are not even doing as much as Nyesom Wike is doing.
Well, yeah. So the Vanguard newspaper has those projects for you this morning, and also has a couple of stories just above the nameplate. It says ADC Coalition Alliance of Displaced Politicians. This is according to the presidency. You find this one on page 5. A couple of riders to
Shots fired.
it says, we are undisturbed. APC reacts. It says, it is gathering of failed politicians. That's according to Wike. Only a formidable coalition can salvage Nigeria. This one is coming from Obi, I beg your pardon. LP splits over 48-hour ultimatum given to Obi. Beside that one, PDP politicians leaving party carcass to Wike and his cronies.
Wow.
This one is from Daily Momodu. It says PDP politicians leaving party carcass to Wike and his cronies. We saw this interview of Daily Momodu on a national TV program yesterday, and where he was asked if he will be leaving the party, and this was where he made that statement that they're leaving the carcass of the PDP to Wike, as they feel that Wike is destroying the party. It's their own opinion, not my opinion, please.
So the G5 are like a carcass or cronies of Wike now.
Well,
Abubakar Bukola Saraki is also part of the carcass to Wike.
Well, he didn't say so. He talked about Wike and his cronies. And for the last time we checked, part of the G5, which happens to be Sheyi Makinde, not in good terms with Wike, because Wike has always come out to talk about how Sheyi Makinde, is the reason why the party is at the situation it is at now.
Okay.
And we know that Sheyi Makinde and the rest of the G4 are solidly together. Although we also know
-1.
Although we also know that Sheyi Makinde has come out to talk about how he is not in support or they, the G5, are not in support of a coalition. And so, therefore, it's a dicey situation in the PDP at the moment. You have 5 governors who say, okay, we are not in support of a coalition, but we also do not like how Wike is trying to.
So there's, when Charlie Poppy came out, we say inside your circle, there's another circle in your circle. That's
exactly. You should have just used AVI if you wanted to say AVI. I do not get it. You brought Charlie Poppy into the mix. You should have just used the words he wanted to use. But I get what you're talking about. Okay. But it's what it is. It shows that inside one group, there's always a group in another group on some sort of things like that. And it shows how dicey the situation is for the PDP. It shows how, how dangerous their situation is at right the now. Moment. It's a really dangerous situation because if you say Wike is trying to make sure that the party functions as it's meant to function, and the 5 governors that are supposed to be like currently the backbone of this party are not in tune with Wike. And we have a faction who are saying, okay, for us to get to where we need to get to, we need a coalition. And the same 5 governors are not in tune with those ones who want to have the coalition. So it's a dicey situation. Is the G5 governors strong enough to hold the PDP? Are they strong enough to get the PDP as the main vehicle for the opposition? It's a different question. Because if they're not in alliance with Wike, it means Wike has some sort of people who is going to work with, who they might not work with the G5. And if they're not in alliance with the coalition, it means Atiku, Dele Momodu, Dino Melaye, and the likes, who have their people. Also, Emeka Dior, yes, that's his name, the former governor of Imo State, the man that always wear the green cap. Yep. We also saw in the coalition meeting. So there are so many big names from the PDP that actually in this coalition meeting, not to forget Senator David Mack, the former Senate president for 8 years,
I mean, of course, they have like a strong score. We talked about this yesterday. If you talk about Senator David Mack, you also talk about the Rotimi Amechi as well, was 8th-time governor, 8th-time minister. He also was 8th-time speaker of the Rivers State House as well.
8 years.
8 years.
So it's huge. It shows that the PDP is in a huge debacle at the moment, and it's sad for what's happening to the PDP because, man, it is the party that so many people know, but it also goes to show that nothing lasts forever.
Definitely.
So it is what it is. And I think that's the major story that we have right here for the Vanguard newspaper. Just one more to it. It says, Wike declares end to Rivers crisis. That one you find on page 12 of the Vanguard this morning. And
now I see why a lot of people would not want to give in to whatever Wike is, doing, or a school of thought. Because how do you come out and say this is the end to the Rivers crisis, as though you started it, or you decide when it should start or when it should stop?
Well, what we know is that he and the governor are currently at peace after they met with the president. But we also heard so many rumors that has to do with allocations of local governments, this, that exist. No one knows how true it is. So probably him coming out to declare end to it is maybe because agreements have been made and he is satisfied with those agreements that have been made. So
agreement is agreement.
So let's see how that one pans out for the good people of Rivers State. And that's the much for the Vanguard.
And away from the Vanguard newspaper this morning, we go straight into the Punch newspaper. Just above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper this morning, it says ECOWAS Bank approves $100 million for Lagos Calabar Highway. ECOWAS Bank approves $100 million for Lagos Calabar Highway. That story is on page 22 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Yes, that's the Lagos Calabar coastal road, still very much under construction. A couple of weeks ago, there was a bit of backlash as to how many kilometers was being, commissioned by the presidency and how many more kilometers we have to go before the completion of that coastal road. But it's been said that work is in progress, but as it is right now, the work is being hot, possibly because of the type of weather that we have in the country as we speak. But of course, they are saying that ECOWAS Bank is also approved $100 million for the Lagos Calabar highway. And away from that, just beneath the nameplate of the Punch newspaper says 2027 showdown. Coalition slams Tinubu as Wike ADC trade blows. Man, trade blows. I just hope it doesn't get into a physical bar at the end of the day. But coalition slams Tinubu as Wike ADC trade blows. Right after that story says presidency brands ADC leaders serial election losers. Presidency brands ADC leaders serial election losers. Another writer is saying FCT minister attacks Mark. Others coalition kicks.
Well, if you ask the PDP in 2014 about the coalition that brought about the APC. I'm sure they said things like this too, because or more,
yeah,
because
because the APC were so loud,
yeah,
they meant business.
Well, yeah, true. But if you looked at the PDP, then the PDP had about 30 states where they were governors, and so they felt, hey, nothing is shaking us. Those people who are coming is a no-no. These people do not have the structure. They do not have the people. So they spoke way more than this. And so I think the APC needs to just, slow their horses, do the work they need to do, and of course try to make sure things are good for Nigerians, so that Nigerians will say in return, yes, you have our vote one more time, because only Nigerians can decide what that is. So
going to be, yeah. Away from that story, on the business page of the Punch newspaper, I beg your pardon, capital projects got only 20% of 25 trillion naira 2024 spending. Capital projects got only 20% of the 25 trillion naira 2024 spending. That's on page 21 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And on the sports corner of the Punch newspaper, the not too good news that rocked the world of Nigerian football says tributes as Eagles legend Rufai dies at the age of 61. You want more of the story? Check out page 30 of the Punch newspaper. And that's it on the front page of the Punch newspaper for today.
Well, the front page of the Punch newspaper brings an end to the newspaper review this morning. But just before we go, I had to touch a little to what Atiku was saying on one of the other papers that had to do with President Trump inviting 5 African countries and, neglecting Nigeria, or should I say ignoring Nigeria. As it is today, I think one way or the other, when it comes to major African business, Nigeria needs to take the lead. When it comes to major African decisions, Nigeria needs to take a lead. Back in the day, before now, for everything that has to do with Africa, Nigeria was the go-to. Back in the day, before now, for everything that has to do with decisions made about Africa, Nigeria was the go-to. But now, it seems like other African countries are taking more consideration before it comes to Nigeria. And I, for one, think it's a big slap on our face. I, for one, think we're sleeping on the potential that Nigeria possesses. In 2014, 2015, Nigeria was the fastest growing economy in the world. We are above China, we are above so many other countries, leading at 5.3% of economic growth. Can we say the same about Nigeria today?
Maybe not.
Can we say the same about how Nigeria hopes to be in the next few years? Maybe not. Nigeria, as a country, needs to take back its position as the giant of Africa. Nigeria, as a country, needs to go back to being the leader of everything that has to do with Africa. I remember so many times when you see so many African leaders, they say things like, once Nigeria gets it right, the rest of Africa gets it right.
Yeah.
Who says that
but
anymore?
lots is changing now.
Who says that anymore?
Especially for countries like Rwanda.
Who says so anymore? You go to Ethiopia, you go to Rwanda, you go to South Africa.
We are not even visa free in these countries anymore.
It is alarming. I think that's an African problem.
Okay.
That one that has to do with visa. It's an African problem that Africa needs to shut down immediately. Like we're Africans, and it's easier for me to go to other European countries than for me to go to Africa nowadays. It makes no sense. It makes no sense economically. It makes no sense Africanly. There's a word like that. But we'll come to that some other time. But as Nigeria, as what we should be, as who we should be, this is not the position we should be at. We should be the leading front for anything that has to do with Africa. We should be the leaders because we have everything it takes to be that. Economically, financially, resourcefully. Nigeria should be the leaders of anything Africa. And I dare say, Nigeria should be competing with the world leaders. We're talking about the likes of the USA, we're talking about the likes of Britain, we're talking about the likes of France. Because if you look at these countries, if you look at the results they have in these countries, it is not compared to us.
But insurgency is also crippling a lot of things now.
Of course, no doubt about it. And that is why what our issues are in this part of the world is a leadership problem. And until we solve that issues of leaders actually being leaders and not rulers, because there's a huge difference between leaders and rulers. Leaders, they make way for people, they make way for their citizens. Rulers make way for themselves and their cronies. Until we have leaders that actually know what it takes to lead, Nigeria is still going to be behind. Until we have leaders that actually put the citizens first, Nigeria is going to continue being behind. Until we have leaders that put Nigeria first, we'll continue being behind. We have no business at all, being a country where everybody keeps running away from just to go to another country for a better life. For what kind of jobs? Mania jobs that even their citizens can't do. It's what our graduates, our master's degree holders, our PhD holders are going to other countries to do. It is embarrassing. It is shameful. And it's only so because Nigeria is not where it's supposed to be yet.
Nigeria, arise.
Nigeria needs to rise. And until our leaders understand the power that they possess and the power they have to make us rise to where we're supposed to be, we'll continue being treated like countries that has nothing to offer. Meanwhile, we have everything to offer and more. We have the people, the brains, and the resources to be in the greatest nation in the world. Until our leaders realize that, we'll continue being the poverty capital of the world. And that's how we'll call it an end to today's edition of the Newspaper Review right here on our Impact Radio 102.1. If I want to say a very big thank you to